avoiding payment fraud scams. And Mike Mason is going to tell us about, basically, he wants us to know that fraud trends are accelerating at an exponential rate. The rate at which fraud is growing has only increased due to fraudsters taking advantage of the pandemic, and their tactics have evolved. Let's welcome Mike Mason, Avoiding Payment Scams.
Hey everyone, very glad to be able to join you today. And it's nice to offer a slightly shortened version of a speech that I typically give, which would include many of the topics that were raised earlier. To echo back to some of those very excellent points, clearly HTTPS, so that you have that security and your transactions are encrypted, and you didn't get that HTTPS while logging in from a public Wi-Fi with Eric or whoever it was sniffing your data with their Linux box. Starting at that level, moving forward, it is rather difficult to hack a computer and quite easy to hack a human. So the focus of my content really being a banker. I've worked as at First National Bank Alaska for the past 12 going on 13 years, if I recall correctly. Time flies when you're having fun. So my perspective and what I'm bringing you today is kind of the inside view of what are the common, most prevalent threats that are causing folks to actually lose money here in Alaska. And it's generally not their computer being hacked, with a couple of rather large exceptions, particularly if you heard of, some of the, I'll just say the borough or some of the other large compromises that have happened. So I'm going to first focus on consumers and people in general, because we're all people. And then I do want to give some information that's specific to business, and then some general best practices that will tie it all together. So be aware and avoid payment fraud scams. Number one, in recent days, months, weeks, almost a year of pandemic boredom and loneliness has been romance scams. And so, suddenly someone has a love interest, they're just head over heels with this person, they're talking every day, that person lives in some foreign country, and suddenly they are going to come to America, they're going to come to Alaska, maybe they're in a different state, but they need some money. First they need to buy a plane ticket, then they've got some fees they have to pay before they leave the country. Now they're at the airport, then you just send them more money, and they will keep milking their victim as long as they keep sending payments. This is a very pervasive scam. It's growing, as you can see, at an exponential rate on the slide here, hundreds of millions of dollars a year now. So, we want to prevent this from happening to our friends, loved ones, parents, other folks in our lives. Try to help steer people the right way if they think that they're in a serious relationship with someone they've never met. And if they're trying to send them money, that's a big red flag. So some similar instances here that are related, an imposter kind of scam. This can be the IRS, that irs.us instead of irs.gov link from a prior presentation. A big sign of an IRS imposter scam is that they're threatening you with immediate legal consequences via an email instead of a mailed IRS notice. That's kind of a big red flag. The IRS is not going to email you and convince you that you need to pay with a credit card today or you're going to go to jail. That's not how they work. So one element of these kinds of imposter scams is there's always an element of pressure. So the grandkid family emergency scam, quite a few folks have received calls from someone purporting to be their child, grandchild, cousin, third nephew, and they're in Mexico in jail, and they need you to pay a ransom or a bribe. Otherwise, they're going to be in the bad part of the jail, or they'll get free if you pay them. Any variety of that is typically a scam, or obviously not legal. There's something going on there, And unfortunately, a lot of our elders will tend to fall for this. Those folks, particularly in the trusting generation, previous speaker mentioned. So, we want to educate our loved ones about these kinds of things. The tech support scammers who will cold call you. You receive a call, it's sometime in the evening, and there's someone urgently telling you that your computer's been hacked. They're calling to help you, and you need to pay them with a credit card for them to make your computer not be hacked anymore. That person is a thief, and they want to steal your money. And I see the law going on there, but it isn't a laughing matter when suddenly the average victim of card theft in the U.S., I believe, is $130 was the latest loss number that I've seen. And so it's definitely something to be aware of. Now, aside from folks impostering other people, folks posing or spoofing their identity, you also have the too good to be true. You've got the Nigerian prince sending you a letter that they have millions of dollars and you just need to send them. Everyone's received that letter. But there's ones that are a little sneakier than that. So you have the timeshare reseller. They target folks who have a timeshare that they aren't actively using, who's going on vacation, last year, right? And they're convincing them that they have a too good to be true price, a cash offer on your timeshare. And if you just send them the taxes up front, they're going to close the deal and sell that timeshare for you. Oh, and once you've sent those thousands of dollars worth of so-called taxes prior to the transaction, not using a third-party escrow, by the way, just a direct transfer to someone's name, no red flags there. They're then going to tell you, oh, okay, the taxes are paid, but now we've got more fees. And if we're seeing a theme here, back to the romance scam, they will keep milking you for money and you'll get nothing out of it. They're working the sunk cost fallacy. So as soon as you've ponied up a single dollar, you don't want to have lost that dollar. So as long as they can keep the scam running and make you believe that the next dollar is going to actually turn out good, they'll keep getting you to send them money. And so that's kind of one of the big themes in the evolution of fraud in this particular time is, the fraudsters are really good at what they do. As soon as you had Hurricane Katrina or any of these other natural disasters, you immediately have websites popping up with disaster, relief or charities. Well, now you have emails saying, join the priority line for the COVID vaccine. Just pay this small amount up front and you can get in front of the line. Well, the COVID vaccine, from what I've heard, is free. So there should be no priority line or any charge of that nature. Similarly, on the too good to be true scale here, we have the overpayment scam. And so this is where you're selling something, clearing out the house, put it up on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, wherever, and someone offers to purchase your goods at a higher price than what they're actually worth, or they just directly send you a check, let's say, for $500 to pay for the $300 item you were selling, and then they contact you asking for the $200 extra back. Well, if you fall for this and you send this person the $200 extra because you're trusting and they overpaid you, obviously. So you send them the $200. They got your $300 goods that you were selling, and then the check bounces. It comes back as fraudulent 5, 6, 10, 30 days later, and now you're on the hook for the $200 that you sent them, the $300 goods, and the $500 check has now been taken back out of your account. So those are some of these too good to be true scams that are going on, and they're a real threat. That's the hacking the human that's happening that was referred to. Now, another variant on this is the scammers need to get the money, and they don't want to be the one to receive that money because that's going to bring the FBI and local police knocking on their door as long as people submit the complaint. So what they're doing is they're recruiting money mules. They're asking folks to receive those funds and then send the money to them. Don't be a money mule. Check out consumer.ftc.gov. They have a ton of information at the FTC, and you can just look at money mule scams. So there's not a whole lot of time, and I know we're running behind. So very briefly, I do want to talk about what I perceive to be the #1 threat of this time with COVID, with everything going electronic, and folks not in the office, kind of things operating in a new normal that's not quite as connected, and that's business email compromise. And so I'm going to kind of pass over some of this dense information, but I will provide this information in a PDF afterwards if anyone's interested, so you can post it to your website. But it's basically spoofed emails where the fraudster pretends to be the CEO asking for their bookkeeper or accounts payable staff to send a wire, or they pretend to be an employee asking for their direct deposit account to be changed for payee. And I'm showing examples on the slides of what these emails look like, how simple they are, and they result in the theft of funds. Here's another one, gift cards. The fraudster asks the CEO or pretends to be the CEO or another executive asking an executive assistant or a secretary or a normal frontline employee to go take the corporate card, buy some gift cards, and send me a picture of the front and back of the card, and immediately that money's gone. It's on iTunes, it's in Visa cards, it's not going to be recovered. So what you can do to protect yourself against that is don't trust email, don't trust cold callers, people calling you with no triggering event. You didn't call them, you weren't expecting a call from them, don't trust them. If you're making a payment, check a valid source document. The valid source document is not received via email. If it was received via email, it should be confirmed out of band by a phone call to a number you know to be the sender. You want to monitor your credit report regularly, just in case your data has been taken advantage of, and you can do it for free at annualcreditreport.com. And we covered passwords earlier, but do monitor your account statements and card activity. Voicemail, yes. So for businesses, you want to monitor your business accounts daily. There's 24 hours from the time that deposit goes in for you to detect and respond to it if someone's forged one of your checks. Less time if you're dealing with a card compromise or some other situation. Use a firewall, have an intrusion prevention system, have someone monitoring those things. If you're doing payments, you're sending payroll, you're paying wires, those payments should be in dual control. It's like having 2 signatures on a check. You want to protect your weakest link. Train your employees, test them, send fake phishing emails and see who clicks the link, and give them some coaching and training so they don't do it again, and do more than the bare minimum to protect your data. So I'll leave you all with that. I know we're out of time. There's some best practices on the outgoing slide there, and I'll share this information with y'all electronically. Thanks.
Game over.